So the other day, a viewer named Yashad, he actually came in and he came up with this new gambit, the Tan Gambit, that people are talking about. And it's actually a really cool one, and I've had amazing success with it. So to back up even further, though, a while ago, I made a video on the Kadas Gambit, which is something that you can play against the Scandinavian, against e4 by playing the Scandinavian defense. So the Kadas Gambit is knight f6, d4, but here you can see that there's kind of a problem in that immediately in this position, not everyone is going to play d4. Like a lot of players will, and even at master level, this is like the main move. But there's a lot of other moves you need to know. You need to know this move and all these knights coming out, and you need to know c4. So one of the problems is just the potential of getting it. But it's one of these 3-pawn gambits that you can play, where after this, you play c6. And the idea is after taking on c6, boom, you hit them with e5. Never been played in this database, but it has been played on Lichess. So this was one of the positions that we knew. So get this position in your mind for just a second, and then let's create another tab. Now there's another, this is the newfound gambit, the Tan Gambit, and this is something you can play against d4. And when I first heard about this, I actually thought it was just the Kadas Gambit, but it's actually a little bit different. And this is something you can play against people that play d4 and c4. So it's really cool because this is super popular. A lot of people are going to play d4 and c4. And you can play the move pawn to d5, which is a pretty well-known mistake. It's like, this is like a positional mistake. But after c takes, you can play c6. And most people are obviously going to take. There's other moves, like obviously you could probably just develop your pieces or whatever. But after d takes, instead of playing knight takes, which is like the main move, and it's kind of considered like, okay, this is, you know, it's dubious for black, but this is like more respectable to take on c6 and potentially to play the move e5 coming up. But you can play e5 right away. Why not? Sacrifice 3 pawns. Go for it. So obviously this is dubious. Just the same way that the Kadas Gambit is. But I've had great success, and I've beaten some really good people. So I'm actually going to spend time, I'm going to show you a couple of the games that I've had from this position. Because not the Lemmelord, that's some secret prep, don't worry about that. I, as black, have had tremendous success, and I've beaten some pretty good people. This was the first game that I played. This was one of the viewers that actually, somebody pointed out, hey, there's this new cool gambit. That very first day, I played Lord Stannis Baratheon in a game, and I promised this person that I would put this on YouTube. So at some point, I am going to put a clip of that game on YouTube. But since then, I've played other strong people. I've played a 2500, and I even played an international master, 2684 rated, obviously very strong. And we played one of the absolute worst games in chess history. So I will be excited to show you this one. But what is cool about my particular game history is that I faced basically everything that you can possibly do in this situation. Some players are going to just reject your gambit and try to set up a nice little safety net. Some players are going to take here. This would be kind of like the critical way of doing it. Just accept everything and see what happens. And some players are going to grab your B pawn. And this is actually what the IM played against me. So let's quickly run through this. But it should be pointed out, this is not the Kadas Gambit. This is the Tan Gambit. This is the Kadas Gambit. See the difference? Tan Gambit, Kadas Gambit. Tan Gambit, Kadas Gambit. Tan Gambit. And the thing that's changing is the E and C pawns. So this is a little bit different. This is different in the sense that you no longer have this C pawn here. So some of the lines are going to be just a little bit different, but it's virtually kind of the same thing. So the first line, we'll go through both of these games. I think there are some instructive moments in each of these. I have a clip of me playing this one, so I'm at the very end. If this goes on YouTube, I'll play the clip of the knight f3 game. But if d takes e5, I would consider this kind of the critical move. This is something that I played against a 2500, and I got a very good position out of the opening, so I do kind of want to share it with you guys so that you can see. But we're currently in this position. This is the critical position in the Tan Gambit. Oops. You can see the computer hates it. Question mark, question mark, Question mark. 3 question marks in a row. The computer evaluation is not as bad as the Kadas Gambit. The Kadas Gambit, just for reference, which is they have the C pawn instead of the E pawn, it's like +2. The Tan Gambit, only 1.5. So you're going to be like 3 pawns down, but you have a half pawn compensation for each. So it should be like -3. If you're 3 pawns down, it should be -3. But it's only 1.5. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And so I'm going to show you this game where my opponent decided to take on E5. I traded queens, which is the main thing. Some people might find that weird because we are lots of pieces down. But you are able to get a surprisingly strong initiative. I played knight e4, and this is kind of a difference. When you play the Kadas Gambit, you almost always put this knight on g4. But I kind of like this e4 idea because there are certain lines, especially lines where they take on b7 early on, where you need to go to e4. So if you just put your knight on e4 and you don't worry about it, it does work in every situation. And it has a lot of the same ideas. Immediately, I'm going right after this f pawn. And one of the advantages of being on e4 rather than on g4 is that now if knight h3 ever comes, you always have the option of taking it right away. So my opponent decided to play king to e1. Seems like a very normal move to play. Now I get to get 1 pawn back, and he plays e3. I think knight f3 is a little bit more popular, but this is obviously very normal. And the idea here is bishop to b4. This was the move that I played, and white will have to decide how to block and get out of check. He put the knight here. If you could block, for example, with the bishop, in which case we probably will be grabbing that. We can at least win this 1 more pawn back. And what is kind of interesting about these positions is if you get an endgame where you're only like 1 pawn down, usually you do have an initiative. Like even into the endgame, a pawn down, sometimes it can be very difficult for the opponent. And that's kind of what happened in this game. So instead of giving up the bishop, he plays knight to d2. I take on e5. Only 1 pawn down, and I have a very strong position here. It looks like I'm getting a lot of things into the game. He played a3, which I suppose is a mistake. I'm betting the computer wants you to bring this knight out to f3. It's been a while since I played this game, but we'll try to remember. So after a3, I took, and I'm threatening to maybe move this knight again with check. If you take this bishop, I can grab something. I can come here. I can do something. He decides to take this guy. I take. King takes. And here I remember that I could have played a really cool idea. So this is, I'm down a pawn. I believe it's equal though. I'm going to look at the computer in just a moment here. But try to come up with what the best plan is here. I think there's a really cool idea that you can use in a lot of these positions. This is just kind of like a typical one. And Dat Boy is already on the ball. What up, hey Thamid, how's it going? Dat Boy, king e7. I think this is not what I played. I played bishop to e6. And I didn't quite take full advantage. I got a good position. I did kind of all the ideas, but sort of out of order. They could be refined with some computer play. King e7 is an awesome idea. And the point is, you're going to get this rook in as quickly as possible. So compare this line to what I actually played in the game. So like a possible line would be, okay, let's say knight comes out and we trade and we get a position like this. Some point, there's going to be this check. I don't think the king wants to run this way because at some point a rook is going to be coming to the c file. So imagine a line like this where potentially I'm able to get my rooks into the game. Rooks could be coming in. Bishop could be going to b3, where it prevents the rook from coming over to the d1 square. So imagine all of this kind of stuff happening and compare it to what happened in the game. So this is like the dream version for me compared to what really happened was that I played bishop to e6, and I did give this check and I castled. So I could have had a slightly more active king. I could have had slightly more active rooks. But something interesting emerges in this position. When you get a position like this, the problem from white's point of view, and obviously the rest of the game, we played a lot of mistakes. It was not a perfect game by any means. But the problem is, how do you get the rest of your pieces developed? Whenever this king moves, whether he goes 1 square or he castles, I'm ready to bring my rook in. And the fact that this rook is ready to invade actually makes it a little bit difficult for white to develop and often gives me enough initiative even into the endgame. So yeah, it's just kind of cool. This is just kind of, I want to point this out for the opening purposes. I think around here things are... At some point, I equalized during this game. Maybe even was a little bit better at some point. Then I came up with a bad plan. Oh, gosh. I came up with a bad plan, and it's making me cough. And I went through with it. My idea was F5 with some idea of going here. But at some point, I realized that I had made a mistake. I had intended in this position to win a pawn. Look at this. I thought I would win a pawn. But I noticed before playing this that this sadly would be a slight mistake. So I said, okay, back to the drawing board. We're going to have to come up with something else. We're just going to be a pawn down. No big deal. I played G5, and computer hates it, but my idea is I'm trying to prevent F4 from white being played. And I can't remember exactly what happened. At some point, oh, he just blunders a pawn. So every move is a mistake, and then he blunders a pawn. And it's not the end of the world, but things start to go wrong for him. Maybe there were some more mistakes. I want to come back and just look at the opening, but here's how the game ended. And around here, it's probably about equal when all is said and done, but it looks like I flagged him. So very good for me. Game ends and it's 0-0. So let's check this out. This is the Tan Gambit. You play this and E5 against D4. So yeah, I could have obviously, let's get to this critical moment. So this was well played. This is well played. This is well played. All of this is kind of normal. We get some pawns back. And then already immediately after A3, a bit of a slow move, the computer says that this is equal. This is totally equal, and computer gives this move king to E7. So even though, I mean, I'm a pawn down, the end games. And what we saw in the game, I'm going to show the clip, at least for those that are watching on YouTube. For Twitch, I'll show you guys the game that I played against... where somebody, it was the same situation. The game that I got to play on stream was a pawn down situation where even into the end game, everything's like equal. So yeah, this is just some computer line. It gives this as the best one. It even trades the rooks. Wow, computer even trades the rooks, says this is just equal. So that's kind of fascinating. But what happened in my game? The rest, do we want to talk about it? Still says this is equal. So everything's always equal no matter what. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting opening. And then there was some bad play in the middle part. Let's not worry too much about that. Let's move on to an even more exciting game. Another game that I played featuring this position. So one more time, this is the Tan Gambit. D4, knight f6, c4, d5. C takes d4, c6, d takes c6, e5. D takes is what was played in the game we just saw. But then I played one of the strongest players I've ever played. Like ever. And it's an international master, and he's very high rated, 2684. I don't get to play a lot of them, but I won this game, and then I got back to 2500. So this was a pretty epic game for me. Now, this was not the best played game of all time. This was not the best game anybody's ever played. There were a few blunders, a few blunders. Some of these moves were not perfect. In fact, this is probably one of the worst games of all time. So brace yourself for what you're about to see. And then remember, this guy is 1,000 times better than you. This chess is so much more high level than you guys can ever understand. But let's just appreciate how many mistakes were made in this game. All right, get ready. Brace yourself. D5 move 2 first question mark. Takes C6 question mark. Takes E5 question mark. Okay, 3 question marks. Those were all on purpose, though. And now this, we're going to see a different line. Taking on B7, which is obviously very critical, but a little bit questionable. I took back with my bishop. Best move. Best move. Somehow I found it. And instead of opening things up, so obviously if he takes here, I'm going to go for the same sort of thing, where I'm taking this thing, I'm hopping in. And usually these things end up being very interesting. One interesting point about these kinds of positions, if they do this and they have their guy out here, sometimes the fact that your bishop's out gives you the ability to go here a little bit quicker. So for example, a line like this, like they can somehow get into trouble sometimes. If you're able to get your rook, look how it's indirectly eyeballing this bishop. So they're gonna have to do something, but sometimes they can end up in all sorts of trouble. Like there's all sorts of bad things that can happen. Having the bishop on B7 is not such a problem. lets you get your rook to c8 faster. That's like the biggest takeaway. And then these knights should go, this knight should go here, and then to one of these squares, make some big threats. And that's kind of why this is not quite so good. But he decided not to allow that queen trade. He decided to play a solid setup, like e3. This is like the solid way people play. So you want to develop your knights. This is all great. This is all great. All very well played. You want to develop your knights, take on d4, give this check. This was all kind of like in my knowledge zone of what to do. Question mark. Okay. Bishop d2. Not the best move. But it's not the best move because of some weird reason that I didn't see. Yeah, okay. So I played castles, not a question mark. Fine move. Yeah, okay. So I think this is just fine. I don't think I missed anything here. Bishop e2. And here I honestly am running out of ideas. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm 2 pawns down. I don't know what's going on. Like, apparently this is fine somehow. But I play rook e8, question mark. Takes. And I think the thing that I missed was that I actually can take here and win a pawn. Because obviously if you take with a knight, I'm going to win a pawn. What I thought was that he would take with a queen, because that keeps this thing defended. But here there's some like amazing, insane computer stuff that happens. And I know it has to do with this move, followed by some follow-up knight moves. Like there's some crazy stuff I could have done here. Let's just double check what I'm saying is true. So here, this is like barely good for white. I'm 2 pawns down. But if I take here, obviously if you take with some knight, you win a pawn. Take with a queen, it's knight e4, queen d3, which is hard to play because that does walk into this. But that's not even it. It's knight g5. Like, what is going on here? How does any of this make any sense? Now rook e8, because if you castle, I don't know. Somehow it'll find some way of, not here. Knight e6? Wait a minute. Knight b4? I don't know. There's just like some weird computer lines that I'll never understand. I'm not even going to bother trying to understand them all. Let's just focus on what's important here. How many more blunders we have yet to go. I castled. I played here. Question mark. He took. I took back. All this is brilliant. Knight c3. Question mark. And here, I saw what the computer thinks, but I rejected it because I didn't quite see exactly why it's the best move. So you guys can try to figure out what to do here. I saw this as an idea, but I didn't see the follow-up. And I saw... What did I actually play? Double question mark. So instead of playing the best move, which is here, obviously you have to take with a pawn because there's this pin. I saw this, but I'm like, okay, but why am I giving up my bishop? What's, you know... I'm down 2 pawns. I don't want to give up a bishop. My bishop's pretty strong. But apparently, knight h5 with the idea of plugging this knight in here. Super strong. Very, very strong idea. And then there should be ways of just getting a massive attack against this guy. For example, if he doesn't castle, because he really can't, maybe I can come back here, remove this defender, try to win this material and stuff. A lot of stuff is going on here. So if I would have seen this with the idea of knight h5, I would have been good. But I didn't see that. So I played double question mark. I played knight to e4. Castles, question mark. Queen f6, question mark. Now, I know queen f6 is not a good move, but I'm being honest, I do not see what is possibly going on here. I got no idea what I'm doing. Question mark. Question mark. A3, fine. A3 is fine. Knight d5, question mark. Now, bishop d3, double question mark. And here I actually came up with an amazing idea. Now, I didn't quite execute it perfectly, but I had an amazing idea. So I played a move with a brilliant idea and executed it slightly poorly. I played rook to g4 with the idea that after any random move, knight e5, double question mark, I played boom! Rook takes g2. Boom! Best move. King takes, and knight to f4. I honestly don't even know. Oh, there's a better move. There's actually an easy better move. There's an easy move here. Easy move I missed. So he's in line with my bishop. So this should be easy. Just find the best move for the knight. So, you know, like, I don't know, knight e3, double check, winning a queen. That would have been a little bit better. But I'm not here to win queens, okay? I'm here to hunt the king. That's what I'm on about. He went to g3, which you basically forced. If you do go back, it's going to be checkmate. This is checkmate, so you can't just go back. So he's got to come up to g3, and so I saw this. I'm getting very excited. Now, the computer somehow finds like a perpetual here. I don't know where it is. I think maybe this. It's like here, and for some reason they can't play this move because then there's this check, and there's like some perpetual here. I don't see any of that. I play g6, and my idea is I'm going to go here, and I don't want you to take my knight. So I protected this square, so I can play knight h5. He plays f3, which I think is the only move, because I'm going to check him, double question mark, and he's going to run away, question mark. But now I'm going to give this check. And look at this king. Uh-oh, double question mark. Goes to e2. This is going to be very, very dangerous because now I grab this guy, and this is a hunt. Now we're in business. Now we're about to checkmate this king. So he tries queen to b3, question mark, attacking my f-pawn, but the knight's hanging. So I take the knight. He goes here, and I play a great move, bishop d5. I'm surprised when there's not question marks. It's more surprising. Obviously, I don't want to trade queens with him. Bloop. So I grab this pawn. He goes to c1. I play bishop e6. I would love to play rook to c8 because, you know, there's queen and king. They're on the same thingamabobber. So he plays king to b1, question mark. I play rook to c8 anyway. The queen moves away. And we're getting very close here. We're getting very close. We play knight f4, question mark. But we really want to take this bishop. And then if the queen takes, we want to play bishop to f5. That's our idea. So he moves the bishop. Knight e2. Incredible. Not a blunder. I played a move that was not a blunder. I play queen g2. And I play here with an idea. Making a threat. Basically, I'm making the same threat that I just made. But, you know, double question mark. But my threat is I want to take this. And it happens. And it just happens in the game. So he plays rook d1, double question mark, allowing me to take this bishop. And now white has to take here, allowing me to skewer, but instead plays question mark. Wait, how is this only a question mark? This blunders mate in 1. Okay, this is not fair. Why is he getting question marks? I'm playing like moves with deep ideas. He played blunders mate in 1, only gets 1 question mark for that. Come on, that's ridiculous. But that's a win, baby. That's a win. And that's how you do it with the Tan Gambit. This is like my new favorite gambit. I just love this one. I'm winning all my games. It's probably not so great, but I win all my games. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep sacrificing all my pawns, getting 3 question marks every game I play. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm even going to show you another example. If you're watching here on Twitch, I will show you what to do if your opponent plays knight to f3. And we're going to show you this game. This was a game that I played against a viewer who I promised I would put this on YouTube, so I think I'm going to toss this whole thing on YouTube. So please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys really like this. Twitch, this is your very last chance to say hi to YouTube, and I will see you guys in another video. Woo! Who's in? All right, let's go. We got any D4, C4 players. We got this brand new Kadas Gambit theory. We got a brand new way to get the Kadas Gambit out of D4. This is a game changer. Who wants some? Mumlu wants some. Lord Stannis Bartheon. Where are you at? Ooh, tough player too. All right. Let's see. Lord Stannis Bartheon did challenge me with the white pieces. Excellent. Knight f6. This is the new super secret Kadas Gambit prep. C6 here. E5. E5. We tricked him. We didn't really want to play a Marshall Gambit. We are Kadas Gambit players. So here we go. Here we go. So yeah, Artie White is facing a couple different choices. We'll see what he comes up with, see how much of this I can remember. But hopefully, even though I'm down a lot of puns, hopefully I can get some sort of strong attack here. That's what it's all about. Okay. This one, I don't think I know this move, but I'm sure starting to recapture some pawns seems like a pretty good idea. We had looked before at lines in which there were some queen trades, some other exciting action. This seems like a slightly more sedate, respectable approach, maybe. for somebody that perhaps fears the mighty, mighty Kadas. All right, it's all about developing very quickly. So I'm going to play bishop to g4 and wonder about a couple things here. There's a lot of things I'm wondering about. Hard to pick just one thing to do. I'm going to give this check. Let's see. We'll see how white decides to recapture. Still, there's some immediate potential danger here. We'll see. I'm going to be down a pawn in all of the lines, so I got to be a little bit careful. But as a true Kadas Gambit player, sometimes you can just keep gambiting. That's the true strength of this opening. So you can just keep gambiting. And hopefully I still have some sort of initiative, even deep into this endgame, based on the pins on the e-file. If I can somehow win this d-pawn back, I feel like I'd be doing okay. And here, I feel like I'm winning a pawn back. Because you have to take here, but then I was going to take back with a knight and win something on e3. But this way, I'm picking up a piece, and now I'm just winning. This is fantastic. And I'm immediately going to set up a tremendous blockade. Look at this. Nothing is ever breaking through. I have an impenetrable fortress already set up in this position. So this worked out well. But I think I really did have some sort of initiative even into the endgame, which even in the main line where you're down 3 pawns, you also just head straight to the endgame. This is a double attack. A little bit worried about taking this c-pawn, but we'll see what happens. I don't want to pre-move. Where is this bishop going to go? Is it going to be resupported? Who knows? So that's it. Just pretty easy blockade. And thank you for the game, Lord Stannis Barthion.